Hi, I'm Dave Miner, and welcome to Focus on Film, Independent Media, Creative Fields. I'm coming to you live, pre-recorded from one of Full Sail University's thousands of offline campuses, my house. So, what is the film/independent media creator fields? So, film, according to my web sources and my own brainstem, tell me that film is the industry that creates commercial film. Now, that's mainstream film, set for broad release and distribution across many countries, thousands of theaters, and rakes in the big dough. Now, film industry is usually dealing with lots of money, large budgets, major talent, and most importantly, what is that?
That's the 3 to 5 sentences.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
Anyway, most importantly, the studio system. Okay? Studios will give you lots and lots of money to go practice your creative juices. That is the film industry. Now, the independent media creation field, unlike film, is on a much smaller scale as far as filmmaking. Completely independent from the studio system, hence the name, indie. But it also encompasses many other facets of independent media, which covers commercials, marketing, say internal marketing for major corporations. You got broadcast media, television, news, documentary filmmaking. Now, what is the difference between the film and the independent media creation industry? On the one hand, film is usually larger scale, attracting major talent and probably more widespread as far as getting your work seen, released, and distributed. On the other hand, you have indie, which deals with little to no money. Of course, I'm talking about pure filmmaking here and not the other facets, because that's the class I'm in, but it comes with little to no budget, is outside of the studio system, and, well, you're pretty much independent, meaning most jobs that someone else would do in the film industry, you would have to do yourself due to the lack of funding or even the people to work on your production. So, big differences between the two. So now, I'm going to show you some actual job. Hang on. Okay, now I'm going to show you some actual job posting from the independent media industry. Take it away. And we're back. Did you enjoy that? Nobody likes to read, I'm sorry, but I'm doing as much filming as I can. Now, I'm going to go on to some common terms in both the film industry and the independent media industry. Now, the first term I'm going to talk about is a cliffhanger. Now, a cliffhanger is a device used in television and film to set up suspense to keep the audience coming back for more. Prime examples of this would be season finales on television, and prevalent nowadays, particularly in the comic book world, is the setting up of the sequel. Now, the purpose of this is to whet the audience's appetite so that they will come back for the next one. Now, this comes from the golden age of cinema, where they would have the serials like Buck Rogers, The Moon Men. I watch reruns of that all the time. I got a kick out of it. But at the end of these weekly episodes, they would leave the hero in some sort of mortal danger, and that's where the term cliffhanger comes from. I'm sure there was someone dangling off the cliff, probably in the first one, but that is the term cliffhanger. Now, the next term I want to talk about is wrap. Wrap is used to denote the end of production or filming, principal photography, for a television show or a film. Now, this is said at the end, and It basically means we're done filming. Now, there are more than one ways to use wrap. For example, they could say wrap at the end of filming in general, as in the movie's done, it's a wrap, yay, go on to the party. Or it could also be used for a specific actor or talent. For example, when one of your actors is finished shooting for their schedule and they are done with the film, you would say that that's a wrap on so-and-so. You know, Susan Sarandon is wrap. You know, I'd love to have Susan Sarandon in my film, but most people don't know this, but wrap is actually an acronym, and it stands for wide reel and print. A little bit of trivia for your brain cells there. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is three-point lighting. Three-point lighting is pretty much the basis for any lighting setup in a production. It's basically lighting 101. Now, since I only have the one light, my key light, which is right over there, because I don't have a lot of equipment, but I'm going to take you to this rendering of my good friend Ted, the no-arm teddy bear, and he will demonstrate these lights. Now, the first light that we're going to see, as you can see, it's just black, is going to be the key light. The key light is your main light for your subject. Okay? You notice there's some shadows on the opposite side where the light would be, so that's where the second light would come in, and that is called the fill light. Turn that on. Now, the fill light will help get rid of those shadows and kind of even out the lighting. Now, you can use this setup to create certain moods. A little darker on the fill light would create more ominous tones and so forth. Okay, so we got a nice little bit of lighting on my little teddy bear. The light I want to talk about is called your backlight. Okay, or as some people call it, a rim light. Now, the rim light is usually behind the actor, and as you'll see as I turn on my little backlight on my teddy bear here, okay, the backlight is used to create distance or separation between your subject and their background, and it makes this nice little rim of light, as you can see on the teddy bear, hence the name rim light. Now I'm going to talk about room tone. Okay, room tone is essentially 20 to 30 seconds of silence in whatever location you're shooting at. Now, to demonstrate that, I've been kind of filming in kind of a noisy area, and I'm going to use my mind, and I'm going to mind speak into my microphone at a separate time so you can hear the difference and why it's important to use your room tone.
Room noise is a 20 to 30 second clip of the ambient sound of a location used for editing your audio later to make sure that all your different camera angles and audio sounds the same in each location.
Okay, that's it. Now you'll hear the difference. I recorded that in a different part of the house here, and with a lot different ambient noise. Now this is used when you're cutting your audio together to help smooth the transition, you know, between different camera angles. I'm sure you've seen some. It's a big pitfall in independent film, unfortunately, but where the scene would shift between actors in a conversation, and you will hear this distinct difference between the shots as far as the audio is coming from. Now, what you can use the room tone for is you can mix it into your audio so that all your shots sound the same, and it helps maintain continuity. And that's what room tone is. Now I want to talk about my industry trend. And this is something that I noticed a couple times on watching some of my favorite YouTube channels. Now, one of the trends right now in the indie industry in particular has been using online platforms to gain financial support or funding for a project. Okay, this is especially prevalent in Kristen Bell's Veronica Mars, which used an online platform to gain financial support for this project. Now, this is a relatively new trend going on here, and you can use online platforms like Kickstarter, for example, and there's a couple others, which I'll talk about here in a second, especially with the advent of social media, where they're pretty much involved in everything you do, and these online platforms are great. Like Seed and Spark is a great platform where you can get your projected audience involved, and they can actually help fund your project. Now, I think this is great news for us graduates, because right now, this is still a relatively new thing. And the good thing about it is by the time we graduate, it will be more well-known, people are more open to it, and sometimes they might even expect it. And that's how I think it's going to be a great thing for Full Sail graduates. I know I'm looking forward to utilizing that in the future myself. Now I want to talk to you for a moment about an industry professional. I chose the man himself, Christopher Nolan. Now, I'm going to voice over a bunch of montagey stuff for you, if you give me just a second. Room tone.
Christopher Nolan is a British-American filmmaker. He is truly a rags to riches story along the vein of Robert Rodriguez. He went from making no-budget indie films to directing some of the top-grossing films of the last decade. He is unique as he has a very eye-catching style. His films are deeply innovative and character-driven. Even his Batman films are famous for seeming so real and grounded in everyday life. He has a certain film noir quality to the look of his films, not just in lighting, but the way he uses the camera, favors big cities, and his apparent favor of men in suits. He is also famous for his suspenseful and non-linear style of storytelling.
Now, I would like to talk to you about two associations that I found that I might actually get involved in here pretty soon. The first is the Directors Guild of America. Now, the Directors Guild of America is an organization that was founded in 1963. And basically what they do is they provide for their members negotiation agreements for things such as pay, scales. What they do is they negotiate agreements for things such as pay, benefits, working conditions, the duties of the directorial staff, proper crediting, pretty much like most guilds do. This is for directors in general or anyone involved in directorial duties such as second assistant director, ADs, and the like. Now, the next organization I want to talk about is called the Producers Guild of America. Now, the PGA is a pretty cool thing because they handle anyone involved on a production staff or the producers of any project. And like the other one, they offer contract negotiation for pay and health benefits and working conditions and proper producers' credits. Now, PGA offers some pretty nifty background stuff, like both of these do, offer workshops, online guides on how to do things, and most importantly, they have grants. So those are my two wonderful organizations. Hope you go check them out. There's the URL for the Producers Guild of America, and there's the URL for the Directors Guild of America. Well, I appreciate you taking the time to watch my little presentation. I thought I'd try something new besides slides, and I might try to do something new for each other project, but I appreciate it, and you have a great evening. Thank you. That's a wrap. Room tone.